Oh.
All right. Okay, so I was saying last week we defined what is acculturation. So the simple word is what? Simple word for acculturation is what? Adaptation. Yeah, change of culture, change of habits. And in some, in some instances, people also change their religion, It's pretty rare, but sometimes it happens. All right, so here, we will focus on food and nutrition implication and relationship with health, right? Because the question that we asked was, with acculturation, does it make immigrants sick, right? Do we have foreigners becoming sick because of acculturation process? That's the question, right? So we will look at the food aspect today. The definition of food is there, you guys have it, and I gave a lot of definitions since the first day of class. Food, any substance that provides the nutrients necessary to maintain life and grow when ingested. This is a Korean traditional picture. Anybody knows what this picture represents? Yeah? What? Like first birthday party or something? Alright? So actually I couldn't remember. Somebody explained it to me some times ago. Is it like the first year birthday party? Alright? Okay. So, but this is a Korean family actually, and the food aspect of it is very important. The child is already initiated to the food culture, right? The child is already initiated to the food culture. He doesn't understand much. I think the parents are actually happier than the child. But the key word here, of course, guys, the key word is what? Nutrients. By now, everybody should know what is a nutrient, right? We all know what is a nutrient. So, is nothing working? Remember, we were saying that, food habit, when people change, food habit is the last thing people want to change. We define acculturation, simple word, adaptation, right? So it's a process by which people adopt, new habits. So dietary acculturation is the same thing. Only that in this case, the process that occurs here is people are adopting the eating patterns, if you want, eating habits of the host country. All right? But it takes time. Usually it's easier with younger people. When you change a country of a certain age, it's very difficult to actually change. So we also observe that with Korean students or young Korean people in the US. So we investigated and tried to see if they actually change their eating habits. And a lot of them actually change. How do we know? We asked some questions about their food habits, and we just realized that, hey, they're eating more and more like Western style food. This is how we know that they are changing. But sometimes you are not changing because you want to change, right? Sometimes you change because you have no choice, okay? And in this case, we talk about lack of available native ingredients, right? So if you don't have specific food from your country, you have no choice. The acculturation process for you is going to be much faster, all right? Convenience, the cost. Remember we saw that in chapter 1. Unpopular traditional food will be the first one to go. If there are some Korean food that you don't like, so when you change, okay, you get rid of it very fast. Okay, so But what I would like to focus on today is how do we measure the dietary acculturation? Right. How do we measure it? Last week, I showed you a little bit, some of the questions that we asked. We first started with the language, your ability to speak the host country language. For example, for foreigners coming into Korea, we will ask them, how well do you speak Korean? Okay? We ask them, how well do you speak? Oh, I speak very well. If they speak very well, it's actually a good sign of them being acculturated. Okay? If the Korean is very poor, like mine, maybe the acculturation process may take a little bit longer. Okay? So we ask this question. We also ask them the residency. This means what? How long have you been living in Korea? Okay? If we saw for the example of the exchange students being only in Korea for a month, this is not enough time for them to be fully integrated into the community. It's not enough time. Usually we want people to be in Korea, let's say minimum 1 year, right? Let's say 1 year and just keep on going and going. Okay. But Korea is actually very new in receiving a lot of immigrants. Like I told you in the first class, it was mostly a homogeneous society, but it's opening up more and more and more, which means we have to be ready. Also, this is interesting, the friendship preference, right? Normally it was actually a surprise, because what used to be done before is that when you have foreign students coming to Korea and living in dormitory, the policy is to put them in a room with a Korean, right? When you put them in a room with a Korean, acculturation process, goes a little bit faster, because they have to exchange. You can learn Korean much faster. So we ask them their friendship preference. Oh, when you go out, who do you go with? Oh, okay. Do you go with Korean friends, or you go with guys from your home country? Okay. So that is also a measure of acculturation. Now, the food-based measure is what I mentioned before. The food habits. When you go out to eat, what do you eat mostly? Korean food or your native country's food? All right? And we look at the list of the food. So we ask, now, with these communities, we want to know how can we do the nutritional individual level assessment. How do we check? How do we check some of these information? All right. So this is the part that we're gonna be spending most of the time looking at today. Okay. Very important. Here, I'm talking about nutrition assessment. Okay. Why? Why do we talk about the nutrition assessment? Because I told you, remember the first class, I told you that what we eat is associated with our health. Alright? And we ask the question, does acculturation, makes you sick? So now we have to look at ways to see if the people who came in the country, are they healthy? Are they becoming sick? What's going on? So in the nutrition assessment, we have what we call a direct nutrition assessment, okay? And we have the indirect one. What does it mean? Here we're talking about individual, okay? And here we're referring to community. It's like the biggest group. Can you see? All right. So now, what I'm going to do just to make sure that you see properly, the part related to the community, has to do what I mentioned to you before. We look at sociological factors, right? We look at ecological factors, all these factors. I will not focus on this one today, all right? I will not focus on this part today. Today I will be focusing on the direct nutritional assessment related to individual. Okay, guys? So if you're drawing the picture, with me, keep this part. Keep this part, nutrition assessment, direct, individual. All right? Everybody has this part, right? I'm going to erase it, and I will bring back the individual part. Okay? All right. So very important to understand how it works. So what did I say I have here? I have here individual. All right? So I'm asking you the questions, and so doing it, very easy way to remember it is just to learn the alphabet. A, B, C, D. All right, guys? A, B, C, D. So A, anthropometric assessment. So below you can just put anthropometric assessment. Okay, guys? So this is your A. Anthropometric assessment. What is it? So anthropometric assessment, if some of you guys who took the basic nutrition class with me, you should remember this one. We usually measure what? Body mass index. All right? We measure body mass index. All right? Or we refer to, in abbreviation, BMI. Okay? So how do we get the person's body mass index? Why do we want it anyway? Because it's gonna give us a little bit the level of obesity of the person. Why? Remember the first picture I gave you guys? What was the first picture? The first picture I gave you before, I draw something like this and I put here obesity. Remember? Because we are investigating now the population. We are investigating this community, all right? And we want to know, how's their health going? Are they healthy? Are they at risk of being malnourished? All right? Is there any risk? So we want to know. So we measure the level of obesity. Remember, what happened with obesity here? We say that because of obesity, they are at risk of which disease? Anybody? Yeah, so we have HBP, high blood pressure or hypertension. Another one? Huh? Yeah, we have some cancer. Yeah. What else? Huh? What else do we have associated with obesity?
Diabetes.
Yeah, diabetes. Most of the time, we are talking about type 2 diabetes. Alright? And the last case is what? Atherosclerosis. We're having now a lipid in the blood, right? So, we can mention it, and just remember that because of the problem also related to high blood pressure, there is a correlation with what? Cardiovascular disease. Everybody remembers that, right? So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Just have all these pictures. Every time I put things, just have these pictures. Everything is correlated. don't just study one part. Everything is together. Okay, okay? Now, let me be back here to the body mass index with the first one, A, the anthropometric one. The body mass index, how do we get it? BMI, anybody remember the formula? What is the formula for BMI? Kilogram, meaning your weight, right? Divided by what? Yeah. Square meter, your height. Okay, okay? So then, whatever value we got, that value will tell us if you have too much fat in us or not, right? So this is what is happening. We have this category. If the value is between 18.5 kilogram per square meter, what is this? Underweight. Okay? It's part of a malnutrition. Just remember that malnutrition has two components. Too many nutrients or yeah, exactly. Okay, okay? Just have everything together. Everything together. So now, if you have 19 to 24.9, what is this? Exactly. Very good. Normal. And if you have 25 to 29.9, what is it? What is this one? Overweight, not obesity here. This is overweight. Alright? And if you have over 30, is what? Okay, here we're talking about obesity, which is what we are targeting. Alright? This is what we are targeting right now. So when we do anthropometric measurement, so we look at the body mass index of these people individually. Any questions? Everything good? Good? Alright, so anthropometric A, so we have this, based on this, so here we have excess of nutrients, so there are some adjustments that need to be done. This is why we do nutritional assessment, because if this population has potentially, health problems, then the government has to put together policies to actually help this population. Alright? So this is why we do it. Alright, can I erase this part? Alright, so now, we don't only measure the body mass index, alright, we also have other measurements, especially other measurements that we can measure like, but most of the time, because we worry mostly about cardiovascular disease, and we worry about diabetes and high blood pressure, the most common measurement is the waist circumference, right? So we so we measure the waist circumferences, right? Just like usually like the fat tissue and So now, for that one, always have in mind that we want to reduce non-communicable disease. Mainly which one? Cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension, and some type of cancers. So, in the waist circumferences, so what do we have? We have males and we have females, of course. All right. So for the males here, we have around 94. Here we have 80. I'm talking about centimeters. All right. So we're measuring centimeters here. 80 centimeters here. Here we have 102 centimeters here, and here we have 88. Okay, guys. So so what does it mean? Here, this is the maximum. This is the maximum acceptable. All right. Of course, it's not always exact because people have different size, and you also have people, that may look, they have like a small frame and they have more fat tissue. This is why the body mass index is not always exact. As you know, in Asia, for example in Korea, being overweight is not over 25, it's actually 23. So it truly depends on the person. You really have to be careful on the measurement that we take there. So the 94 for men is the maximum. The 80 centimeters is the maximum for women. But of course, as we study food and culture, we understand that if you go, for example, in sub-Saharan Africa, people have a different, mass, and people may be a little bit voluminous in the African American community, for example. So there are some adjustments that need to be made, right? The way people are built up. So what does it mean? It means that here is what? Here is the danger. Danger for what? Danger for cardiovascular disease. Okay? Danger for what? Danger for type 2 diabetes. Okay? So this is what it means when we go for anthropometric measurements. So we go through there. But of course, we have to be careful. Like I told you the other day, it varies from one person to another person. Any questions so far? Everybody's good? All right. So, can I erase this part? All right. All right. So, like I told you, so we have A, B, C, D. Now, the B is for what? Yeah. So here we have the biochemical or laboratory test. All right. But in this laboratory test, so what do we check? We can check for the hemoglobin. We're looking at people, for example, with people, for example, for anemia. Cannot see? I can write your again. All right. So we have biochemical. That one it would be easy to remember. Like I told you, it's A, B, C, D, right? So anthropometric, we're done with this. Biochemical or laboratory test. So we look at, we check, for example, for the, hemoglobin. We can also check for what? When we do like the blood test, we look at your sugar level. All right? All right. Remember, we have a number, for example, for diabetes, right? If you go over 126 milligram per deciliter, okay, maybe now you have diabetes now. Definition, too much sugar, right? Too much sugar in the blood. Okay? All right. No question? Yeah. Oh, for here or here? Here? This one? All right, sorry. I'm going to write it here again. Okay, so here is laboratory, lab test. Something, biochemical lab test. If you just put biochemical, that's fine. It's like, wow, I messed up everybody here. Sorry. I write, I'll do my best next time. So these are laboratory tests. So we check the hemoglobin. We just see like the level of is this person anemic or whatever. Sugar level in the blood. We also check other things as well. Okay? All right, so C. All right, C. What do we have on C? Anybody can tell me C? Clinical. Good. So clinical, what do we check? This is like another physical test, and this is why we often talk about the nutrient, right? We look at your hair, right? We look at your hair, we look at your eyes, we can look at your skin, your lips, and things like that, and you're just like, oh, it looks like he's vitamin C deficient. Vitamin C deficiency leads to which disease? That was like last year exam, right? Nobody remembers? No? Vitamin C deficiency. Yeah. What happened? Yeah. What's the name of the disease? The description is good. Scurvy. You remember scurvy? Scurvy, vitamin C deficiency. But anyways, it's the same thing. Okay, you may have vitamin D deficiency when we're talking about what? Rickets, right? So this is the assessment that we do. We look at this population, we do the clinical test as well. Okay? All right. So now, and D, what is the last one? D. D is for what? Good. Dietary assessment. Wow, some people remember. I'm feeling happy suddenly. Dietary assessment. Now, what I'm going to do, can I raise the top half? All right. So I'm going to put the dietary assessment here. And this is the part that we usually look at, right? So we have here, this is the part that really relates more to us when we talk about dietary acculturation, right? A relationship with our health. So dietary assessment, so the dietary assessment has different components, but I will just make it easy for us. I'm just going to give you two. All right, so we have what we call the 24-hour recall. 24-hour recall. What does it mean? But I'm sure you guys did it. 24. I mean, a lot of you guys are into computer science. You may not know. The 24-hour recall. What does it mean? What do we do? Yeah. Yesterday. Exactly. Very good. It's easy, right? So the 24-hour recall, you just telling the registered dietitian what you ate yesterday. All right? You're just telling them what you ate yesterday. All right. And the second one that is also easy is what we call what? Food frequency. Food frequency. What is food frequency here? Anybody remember food frequency? Yeah, certain food in a week, in a day, and so we may give like sometimes we also have like the dietary plan as well. We may give you a list of food and just see how often do you eat such and such food. So we can also look at it by putting like specific food, typical food of Korea, and just say, hey, do you eat this food? Do you eat this food? So the food frequency is, give you a little bit that part as well. 질문 있어요? Any questions? That's easy, right? The way you guys are smiling, you want to go home now? Right? Everything looks so easy. It looks like we can stop the class now and, That table is actually very important to understand the breakdown and how it works. Okay? All right, you guys look happy. That's good. I'm happy too. All right, so where did I stop here? Okay, so we mentioned this. So we're going to be closing. We're going to be closing with this part. So what I will do, I will send you the study guide through the CTL system at the university. In this case, I will give you the answers, right, for the study guide. I will give you the answers, and probably one or two problems there for you guys. just review, so that on Wednesday we can actually start chapter 3 on traditional and modern medicine. And probably next week we're going to have our first quiz. Amado, because we have we're done with 2 chapters. I have to check if you're studying, right? Everything looks so. It's part of quiz is part of the syllabus, isn't it? Everybody's looking at me funny. Did you guys read the syllabus? No? Did you read it? Mohammed, you read the syllabus, right? You don't look happy? I'm happy. I like my job. Alright, so I will send you the study guide. I will send you the study guide to review it. Okay, so let's finish with this one. We're actually going to finish the class in a few minutes. So the cultural food habits, we mentioned the food group, the meaning of food. But what I would like to look at here is the cultural superfood. For example, in Korea, ginseng is seen as a superfood, right? A food that pretty much does everything, if you want. We can call it like a superfood. All right? Many countries have some food like that, you know. I remember in Canada sometimes people have like chicken soup, and they feel out if you have this problem, just eat chicken soup, things like that. All right? We have prestige foods. This is reserved for important occasion or important people. Do we have that in Korea? Food only for special occasion? Specialty food? No. Alright, so we have body image food. Here again you have cases like, oh, this food looks like the heart, so it's for heart disease. This food looks like this, so it's for this and this problem. Alright? Symbiotic magic food, these are the type of food. Oh, if you eat this food, this will happen to you. If you eat this food, this will happen. Okay, okay? Physiological group food, of course, is actually very close to what I mentioned here about the body image foods. All right. Since I mentioned the quiz, everybody is quiet. Nobody likes me anymore. I mean, this is university, right? Or you guys? Anyways, we took. All right, the quiz is usually what, 10 questions. It's easy one. I wanted to show you this picture. These are the research that were done in the US. Okay, we have 4 groups of people here. When we talk about minority groups, right? Minority groups. We talk, for example, about American Indians. I mentioned these guys. Most of them, you don't really see them that much anymore, but they live in reserves and things like that. We have the African American community, we have the Hispanic community, and we have the Asian community. All right. So the majority in the U.S., the majority is represented by the Caucasians. So these measurements is actually measured against them. So we look at the risk factor. We look at the level of obesity. These are for men. Level of obesity. If you look, let's compare a little bit. If you look at American Indians, 40.1%. That's pretty big, right? The African American, 26.5%. The Hispanic, almost the same number, 26.6%. The Asian community, only 2.7%, right? So now, the Asian community in the US, we talk about Asian men. The obesity level is actually lower than any other community, right? So, because obesity is our reference, so now let us check if it goes together. If it goes together with the non-communicable disease. The one that we look at is what? Cardiovascular disease. If you look at it, cardiovascular disease among American Indians is what? 16.4. African American 9.9, Hispanic 7.4, and Asian 7.5. All right. So if you look, for example, high blood pressure, also very high among the American Indians here. Compared to the Asian community, 16.1. It's more than double, right? Then we can investigate, we can look at, what are their food habits, right? Why the Asian community, obesity level is probably lower than the American Indians, because we're going to have a chapter on American Indians. And we look at other factors, also cultural factors. Like I told you, body image from one culture to another one is different. Because as we will see, the American Indians, for example, being a little bit chubby, when a woman, for example, is pregnant, it's synonymous with a healthy state. It's actually something good. If you go to some countries in sub-Saharan Africa, being a little bit heavier is actually a sign of prosperity, of being healthy. Okay? So that may also justify why some diseases are more present into some communities and not on the other ones. Okay? So we look. However, this is the paradox. This is the paradox. If we talk, for example, about high cholesterol, look at it. The Asian community is 31.1, is the same level as the African American community, right? Then we may ask the question, what's going on here, So, which means we can have a small frame to some extent, but also have a lot of fat tissue, level of diabetes, what did I say in the first class? We know that 90% of people with type 2 diabetes tend to be obese. And if obesity is lower among the Asian community, so we can think that the level of diabetes type 2 may also be a little bit lower. Here is only 4.8% compared to 16.8 or 11.6% in the American Indian community or African American community. All right. So the same number are actually similar with the woman here. Again, we ask the same question: does acculturation make immigrants sick? Does acculturation make immigrants sick? Okay. All right, guys. So you should be happy. I'm going to stop the class right here. I will review the study guide and send it to you. On Wednesday, we will start the chapter 3 on traditional medicine and modern medicine. All right. I will be here for those who have questions. For those who are hungry, you can go and eat. And for those who are scared of the quiz, start to study right now. And I think we already started school, right? Did we start? Okay, guys. Have a nice day, and I'll see you on Wednesday.